Okay, I'm not exactly sure where the video left off, but I was explaining that in the third verse of chapter 1, it says that King Xerxes, in the third year of his reign, gave a banquet for all of his nobles and officials. And then the very next sentence, I thought it was interesting that it makes a point to say that they were present. That he held a banquet for them and they were present. My mind went to another parable that where a king, or it might have been Jesus. I need to refresh my knowledge on that. But where a banquet was held, and the people that were invited did not attend, and so the invitation was sent out in the streets and in the city, and so I need to go refresh that. There's something there in Esther Chapter 1. And then also, the very next verse of scripture, verse number 4, says, for a full 180 days he displayed the vast wealth of his kingdom and the splendor of glory and the splendor and the glory of his majesty. I guess my initial thought was, see, there has got to be a day, like a time must come where will come. I believe it will. I hope it will. Where God shows himself to really be God in my life. Not necessarily for a display, but if you read on a little bit further, it talks about how the king showed his liberality. And that's really important to me as a leader in God's kingdom, to be a support to people, whether it be emotionally, whether it be spiritually, whether it be financially. Being liberal covers lots of areas, and so I just want to be able to do that. I want to be able to be liberal. Yes. Okay. What else in here? I thought the colors were fascinating. It talks about the decorations for the banquet that he held in the garden. Purple, blue, white, silver. Anyway, so there's some decoration details here, decor details here that I don't know if I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do with this video, because I don't want to say too much, but this is about my documentation. So yeah, those blue and white, gray, I guess would be kind of the silver. Were going to be my wedding colors, and honestly, I would like to keep in with that, but I don't know this new guy, so. Yeah, I just thought it was really cool just to see royalty kind of at work or at play in my life. And so, what else? So then it gets interesting. So it mentions Queen Vashti in verse number 9. And it says that Queen Vashti held a banquet for the women in the royal palace of King Xerxes. And that's important to note because about two verses later, King Xerxes called for her to come so that all the people in Susa could see her. It says that she was lovely to look at. Let's read the verse. It says that King Xerxes commanded, and I actually missed this the first time, It says that he commanded the 7 eunuchs who served him. I'm going to skip down to verse 11, to bring before him Queen Vashti, wearing her royal crown, in order to display her beauty to the people and nobles. And it says, for she was lovely to look at. Okay, the point is, you'll see this probably a verse or two down, that she refused to come. And so I just began to just kind of examine, what could she have been going through that she would refuse to come? What was the moment, and could it have been communicated to him in a way that he understood? Like, who's close to her to understand why she refused, and could that information be relayed to him, perhaps in his ear? Because I have some insight about what goes on next, and I'm just examining, I guess, the entire text for wisdom and just practicality and all that good stuff. So here's what I found out, or here's what I was being revealed as I continue to read. When she refused to come, King Xerxes consulted with the people, or conferred with the people that were closest to him. They were wise nobles, they were experts in the law, etc. And he asked them his questions specifically. I'm being particular because this is, again, just documentation, but I think as I make special note of particular wording, that it'll give me the best, like the most quality kind of analysis or synopsis of the scripture. So anyways, his question precisely, most accurately rather, is included in verse 15. It says, according to law, what must be done to Queen Vashti? And I kept by the time I got to this point, I just couldn't help but keep an open mind, like, because for me it's a point of contention, right? Like, she refused to come, and your question to the people in your corner is, what must be done to her? It wasn't until later, and we'll get there in a second, that I began to it wasn't until later that I was reminded, it was illuminated for me that the question was according to law. Again, just his mindset, right? Like, she refused to come, and he's wanting to know according to the laws. Like, it's a different way of thinking. And so just excited to find out what happens next. According to law, what must be done to Queen Vashti? For she has not obeyed the king. And so then I started listening for the people that were in his circle, what they would say to him. And it seems interesting. But yeah, I'm just reading it. I mean, it's here. It's right here in the text. I'm just trying to align myself with scripture and my reasoning and all of that. The way I govern myself and my expectations for the organization and just etc. Okay, so on. So they said to him, Queen Vashti has done wrong, not only against the king, but also against all the nobles and the peoples of the provinces of King Xerxes. That let me know that she embarrassed him, and that she was a damper to his night. This is King Xerxes, and he's hosting this banquet, and he's commanding the people who serve him that whatever they ask for, serve it to them. This is the part I was talking about with him showing his liberality, included in verse number 7. And so he gave a command that there's no limit on the amount of wine you can drink. In other words, this is come and enjoy yourself and drink as much as you desire, as much as would satisfy you. And so they're out, and he's again displaying his abundance and his fullness even toward them. And he calls for his queen, and she refuses to come. And so that threw him off. That's what I got from that so far. And beginning to understand, I'm beginning to put things in place for me to stay on his side, if you will, because I again just need is a point of contention at first. So it's unfolding and unveiling, and so here's what I'm realizing. Verse 17, it says, "For the queen's conduct will become known to all the women, so they will despise their husbands and say," and I don't have to read the rest of that, but what I understand, here's what I'm realizing, is that her conduct in a position of leadership, in a position of royalty, has a direct influence and impact on because she is royalty, because she is the wife of the queen. And I think that goes with anybody, that we have to be careful, we have to be careful how do you say that? If me being around you infiltrates you, because it does, as a matter of fact, and vice versa, let it be God. Let it be God-like. Let it be positive. And so I think from reading the 16th verse, that where it says that she has not only done wrong against the king, but against the nobles and all the peoples of this province, or the provinces that are present, is that, we got to learn how, to sometimes just put on a smile. And because again, I have some insight about what's going to happen, she has to learn how to make like Esther and come up with a plan. She has to learn wisdom, right? Like, you can have whatever is going on. I don't think the king is denying you that. And so I'm going to stop here. I was getting ready to talk about, but reverence. But anyways, all right. So, all right, that's about as far as I got. We're about to finish reading the rest of this. I guess you'll hear my thoughts. So King Xerxes commanded Queen Vashti to be brought before him. So let me go back. For the queen's conduct will become known to all the women, and so they will despise their husbands and say, King Xerxes commanded Queen Vashti to be brought up before him, but she would not come. This very day, the Persian and Median women of the nobility who have heard about the queen's conduct will respond to all the king's nobles in the same way. Yeah, so that's what we just talked about. And then it says there will be no end of disrespect and discord. My God, like I'm just full reading this. It's so amazing. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be kind of gleaned from this right here alone. And so I'll just say this, that's a lot of like all of this goes into like my understanding about like my leadership style and things, because I figured, like, deductive reasoning is that if they're saying, and I know that there is some truth to that. Hang out with you. My biological mom would say, you are who you hang around. You become who you hang around. And so if those other women being around Queen Vashti and she's showing disrespect to her husband, what if we revered our husbands? What if we were respectful, and that was our example, and that's what matriculated, and that's what developed and unfold around us everywhere. And so I'm doing this once again for the hope of glory. So excited, just to see, God being, I guess, which makes me retract, right? Like, this is raw. This is real time right here. This is live. I guess it makes me retract what I said about God showing himself to be God in my life. I think I've shown forth his presence in my life, and I've shown forth his abundance, and I've been liberal in the ways that I could be. I think I might have been talking about money, but yeah, it just makes me realize that I should caution myself as it relates to me saying that there has to be a day that will come where God shows himself to be God in my life. People know that the God of the Bible is Kiara's God, and that she desires for them to know it and to experience it. So I'm going to pause this, because this is getting to be really long. Actually, let me finish chapter 1. Let's see. Okay, verse 19. Therefore, if it pleases the king, this is according to the law. That's the part that I'm still kind of waiting to understand. According to the law, it was this question. And I'm going to have to think about this. So this video may increase, but the length of this video may increase. Hang on. It said, therefore, if it pleases the king, let him issue a royal decree, and let it be written in the laws of Persia and Media, which cannot be repealed, that Vashti is never again to enter the presence of King Xerxes. Also, let the king give her royal position to someone else who is better than she. Then, when the king's edict is proclaimed throughout all of Vashti's realm, all the women will respect their husbands, from the least to the greatest. So they made a decision that was in the best interest of the people. They were lawmakers. They were experts in the law. I get that. But so, I think I'm understanding that the king, who, verse 1, ruled over 127 provinces, stretching from India to Kush, had really the ability to create and implement laws himself. He just needed the wisdom to be able to do it. From a righteous standpoint. Okay, I think that answers according to law what must be done to the queen. Law, according to righteousness, according to justice, according to balance, according to standard. I see. All right. Then it says, and all women will respect their husbands. All the women will respect their husbands, from the least to the greatest. Verse 21, the king and his nobles were pleased with this advice, and so they did the king did as his name is Memucan proposed. Verse number 22, he sent dispatches to all parts of the kingdom, to each province in its own script, and to each people in their own language, proclaiming that every man should be ruler over his household, using his native tongue. Alright. That reminds me of another thought that I'm going to close this out. Earlier in this chapter, when she refused to come, it's not about her feelings. It was a command, and she was to come. I guess I made that clear to say that we got to swallow some things, or at least hold on to them, hold our peace, and kind of move in wisdom. Make some quality judgment calls from the lenses of an objective reality. That is my overall mission, I think. Maybe for Clean Hands and the Pure Heart Ministry, I don't know. Um, so, yeah, it wasn't about how she feel. When he could have demanded her, she could have come. But who knows? Who knows? We don't know. We don't know if that was her breaking point. Um, um, we don't know. We really don't know. Because, um, yeah. So, anyways, yeah, and made a decision. And honestly, I think she made decisions along the way. Um, and um, or they both did, and so yeah, I'm just understanding all that. But most importantly, I guess, is the example and how we are to govern ourselves. 20 minutes and 53 seconds so far, not including, I guess, the intro to the video, which is about a little bit over 1 minute. So I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna stop this here before going into chapter 2, but I'm going to complete chapter 2 through 4, at least, and hope this blesses someone other than me.